Hello and welcome back to the GGB Supplier Showcase series. As always, I am your host, Jess Marquez, and I'm so pleased to be joined today by a legendary figure in the industry. I'm sure most of our readers and viewers are familiar with him, none other than Paul Heretakis, President at Westar Architects. Paul, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing wonderful. Great opportunity to be here with you today. I look forward to a couple of questions coming my way.
Definitely, definitely. And I mentioned obviously that your reputation precedes you. You've been in the industry for a really long time. Westar has been one of the top gaming architectural firms in the industry for a long time. So for those, I kind of want to start there as kind of a jumping off point. And for those who may be unfamiliar, haven't heard of the firm, could you kind of give a brief history? I mean, I know you don't have to recount, the last however many decades it's been. I know you have a long history, but could you kind of give a brief kind of history of like the formation of the company and kind of how it's grown over the years?
Sure. I was born and raised in New York, educated back there, came out to Las Vegas in around 93, and then worked with a lot of the gaming companies, absolutely fell in love with gaming, the whole gaming world, everything that was going on. So many properties opened up when I first moved out here. Luxor, MGM, Excalibur. So many of them opened up at one time. It was really just an exciting time to be in the city. I joined Westar in 2002 as a partner and brought over the gaming aspect to the business and did great, worked on some fabulous projects, designed anything and everything you see inside of casinos, theaters, convention centers, hotel rooms, casino space, restaurants, everything. And then in 2008, went over to Macau, started all over again, started up a company in Macau, was extremely successful there, worked all over Southeast Asia, all the casinos in Macau itself. Started working all around the world, Europe, South America, Southeast Asia, all over the place. It was really a tremendous experience, and sold that company a few years ago. Now I focus mainly here. I still do quite a bit of international work as well, but it's been great. I love the gaming world. I love everything about it. Love the people have been always great. I've been in the business for a long time. Met so many people early in my career. Now they all own companies, run gaming companies, CEOs and whatnot. It's just been a tremendous experience. Gaming's changed a lot, obviously, over the years, but you meet great people, and I really love the industry.
Definitely. And it's interesting, starting, from the early 90s period up and through now, that's probably been the most, or one of, if not the most influential periods in terms of design. Most of I would say the majority of what the general public considers to be the most famous or the most iconic casinos were built and designed during that time. Um, and it's interesting to me personally because I've always kind of, when it comes to architecture and construction and design, I've always kind of been a little bit jealous in the sense that, like, you really do have a fingerprint all around the world in the sense that, you can walk down the strip and say, hey, that was my design, that was my project, and it's everlasting, or at least lasting until the next one comes around and, in the endless cycle where it gets blown up, which I'm sure is kind of bittersweet for those who were involved in the making of them, I am sure. Um, so to kind of touch on the subject of gaming architecture in particular, because one of the things that's always fascinated me about that is how I'm sure it must be very different from other sectors or other industries of construction and design, and I'm sure probably I would imagine that maybe some of your peers and colleagues may be maybe a little bit jealous in terms of you get to design a multi-billion-dollar casino as opposed to like an apartment complex or something like that. So could you touch on like maybe some of the aspects of gaming architecture that kind of set it apart or kind of make it differentiate from the rest of the overall architecture world?
It's really amazing the opportunities that I've been blessed with. And again, designing projects all around the world. I've worked with some extremely famous architectural designers. They bring us in very, very early on, day one, to work with them because not everybody understands the intricacies of a gaming customer. And then you have a hotel customer. And in many cases, you have a condo customer. All three of these people using the building at one time, organizing the access to the property for the customer, organizing the access for the employees, everybody thinks it's so easy. Oh, I want it to be a five-star resort. Well, five-star resorts require five-star service. That unto itself is another thing altogether. So getting all of those things to blend in and be laid out in a casino. Nowadays, we're working a little bit more on vertical properties all around the world. Many years ago, in a property in Las Vegas, we were designing a restaurant at the front of the strip, and they kept asking, well, why is it so expensive to do this? Why is everything so complicated? I said, why don't we take a walk? Let's go back to the loading dock, which is where every single piece of material to build your restaurant is going to come from. And eventually, when I'm gone, every single bottle of beer, can of soda, steak, and whatnot is going to go on this 20-minute walk, which we're walking. You're going to have a trolley or some sort of cart dragging all this food. That's a 20-minute walk just by itself. So really fascinating to start to separate that. And then even within a casino, much of the success of Wynn or some of the other high-end casinos, you have a VIP customer that arrives at the property in a limo, separate entry, separate check-in, if he's checking in at all, his hotel elevators, his restaurant, one or two restaurants, and the high-end gaming is a 50-foot walk. And they never have to see anybody else if they don't want to. A slot customer or something else like that, very different. We talk about a show of 5,000 people letting out at one time, hitting restaurants, hitting bars, hitting the valet. How do you organize a valet that could pump out three, four, 500 cars at one time? Just amazing things. So when we get involved with a project very much up front, we're trying to explain those things to a client. And in a lot of cases, they just can't understand the mass amount of people you're moving. And then, of course, as I said, not crossing employee traffic with the customer traffic and what that includes in a back of house situation, just to again move that many people around, move hundreds of people to a casino, to a convention, a dinner, a convention dinner or something like that. The extraordinary amount of people moving behind the scenes is really unbelievable. So it's a lot of fun. I love moving people around a property. I love separation of customers and what their interests are and what their spend is and how to move them around the property properly, how to get everybody to use different amenities within a property, how to work with a client to identify what amenities the customers want, the specific different types of customers in different groups want. It's really an amazing process, and it's a lot of fun. But we get involved very, very early in that process and end up working with some spectacular people and doing it.
I would imagine, and it's funny in my head. I'm kind of imagining it like from a scientific perspective in terms of like trying to gauge human movement, like you're saying.
Mhm.
It almost reminds me of like those experiments where they'll like have like water trickling down and it finds the path of least resistance, or like the marbles running down the chute and everything like that. You kind of have to gauge where people are going to go and get into their mind a little bit. That's super interesting. Obviously, has been a key component of casinos. Dating back since decades past, in terms of everybody is familiar with kind of the paths, the circuitous, excuse me, paths around the gaming floor, and how to integrate all the different amenities and so on and so forth. I'm sure there is a lot of drafts and a lot of kind of the proverbial crumpling up of the paper and throwing it away and starting
Yep.
afresh. I'm sure is very common. Um, One project that you guys recently finished and that I really wanted to kind of highlight today was the high roller suites at the Fontainebleau. Now that casino overall, what is a huge story in sense of that it was finally able to kind of get across the finish line. It was one of the most delayed and kind of I guess just hampered projects on the strip in a long time. Finally came to fruition. It's finally open. Like I said, you guys did the high roller suites, so I'm kind of curious, and this again, I'm sure it could go on for hours and hours, but in a brief history, kind of what all went into that project and how was that process for that project specifically?
The project started back up about 30 months before it opened, which is pretty incredible. It was an incredible sprint to get it finished. I got hired about 16, 17 months before it was to actually open. They hired us to complete High Roller Suites. We worked with a company out of London, DCS, on the design. What I loved was they had a couple of people involved. One was Peter Arnell, who's a branding genius, and John Rollins was their VP of interior design, and they really set a picture of what this place wanted to be and what the essence of the property is. And I think when you walk through the door, you immediately feel the sophistication, the elegance of the property. And when you walk up and down the strip, there's so many billion-dollar properties that don't have anything to say. There's no reason to go to them. They're not speaking to you. They're just not grabbing your attention. And I think the Fontainebleau does a tremendous job at that. They have issues with databases and location and getting a business off the ground. Casinos, many times, especially in Las Vegas, they take a little while to ramp up and become successful. So but it was just a great process from that. So we always had a direction and a vision. The high roller suites we worked on were 50 suites over 5 floors. There was 250,000 square feet of them. It was an incredible project to work on, an incredible challenge. The team worked both within my office with my team, and then, of course, everybody out there running around was just absolutely amazing. There was about a 12-month period when I first started it. We were working 80 to 90 hours a week. I don't think I took more than a couple of days off in that entire time. Great personal challenge to me. Really enjoyed it. The results came out great. The suites are beautiful. They get great reviews. They've been published in multiple magazines and periodicals. So it was a great challenge. I loved their look and what they were trying to accomplish. They were trying to be different than the normal suites in Las Vegas. They're trying to do something special with the property. And again, I'm a big fan of it, and I think they did a great job. But it was just a tremendous sprint getting it done, and very proud of what we accomplished.
So I can only imagine, and especially, and I would imagine it would have been a big undertaking regardless, but especially when you overlay the fact that, like I said, the overall casino project had been so hampered that I would imagine that added even an extra layer of kind of stress to the whole thing that was pretty unique to that project. Um,
It was 16 years between starting and stopping. The codes had changed. We were using some old codes. There was old technology we were trying to get rid of, integrate new technology in. There were some crazy things about, and then, the existing conditions. It was funny. You're talking about a blank space, but you still had a lot of unusual existing conditions. It's just part of the craziness, just part of the sprint. And casino architects, myself and a few others in town, you just used to working a little differently than normal. Everything's a little bit not always right, not always the way you want it to be. These buildings are very large, very vast. They're not always built exactly like you think they're built. So a couple of challenges you're driving across the road, but it's fun and we love it. It's what we do.
So when you look back at your kind of overall portfolio, if you will, or some of the highlights over the course of your career, where do you think the Fountain Blue kind of ranks among those, and kind of how were you guys able to kind of put your own stamp on it, put the Westar kind of brand on it while also, kind of making it a unique space? Kind of where does that fall within some of the other projects you've done?
Oh, Jess, it's like you're like asking which child I like more. They're really tough. Everyone is very unique.
Yeah.
This one again was just a tremendous personal challenge to myself and my team. As I said, you know, 90 hours a week. I hit 95 one week. I don't know how Elon Musk hits 120. I couldn't even figure out how many hours there were in a day after a while. So, just the effort put into it. And then I'm real proud of the look and how it all came together. I've never really worked so closely with branding people and with the interior designer of the company that, as I said, John, what they really did and how they touched it up at the end and how they added their extra little flair to it really took them over the top. So from that point of view, it was great. Very proud of the design, very proud of the look. Most people will never ever get to see them other than little pictures on the internet. But they really came out beautiful. There was something that when you start a project, especially when it's started by another designer and you execute it, the vision is kind of very big, and then you got to try to get it down and fit into the spaces, and it really came out great. But the branding of it, I love the way they look, and I really love that aspect of it. That was really the biggest thing that came out of this one. It was a very different project from that point of view, and the touches that that hotel, the memorable touch points, the branding touch points that they wanted to create were wonderful. We have so many conversations as designers about what the customer feels, what they see, what they sense, what they touch, and they really had some experts behind that made a lot of things. Every time you walked into a room, there was something you could touch and feel, and it really became part of it. And that's what I say to you when you even walk into the property. It has a very different feel than the typical Las Vegas property. It really does come off sophisticated and elegant. When you start to get into the property and enjoy some of the bars and restaurants, they're all slightly different. There's always an attention to detail that they've really done a good job with. It's nice to see a company from from Florida, from another part of the country, come in and not only try to match and do their thing in Las Vegas, but add a little bit of their own flair to it. And I think they did that pretty successfully. And it's a fun place to go. So I really enjoyed working on it, and very proud to say I did work on it.
It's interesting. I think probably from the moment it opened last December, it's been, among the biggest conversations or the biggest pieces of debate and conversation, especially obviously locally in Las Vegas. But I think the interesting thing and the notable thing in this case is that, all of the things that are being said about, its business or its operations and stuff, it's one thing, but I have yet to hear anybody even, say any bad words about, like you said, its design, its feel. Everybody that I've talked to has acknowledged the fact that it is above and beyond in terms of, like you said, elegance and design and everything like that. So I think that's a testament to, again, the work that your teams have done on it, and also kind of the vision that went into it. And like I said, it's very difficult to run a strip casino. There's a lot of factors, but I think that at the very least you can be rest assured that that factor of it is well taken care of. Um,
You know what? You bring up a great point, and I'm real proud of that. A lot of people have just said, first off, I want to say it's one of the most beautiful, if not the most beautiful properties on the strip. And then they start into their story, but people forget how long it takes to get an operation. Eight, 9,000 employees,
yeah.
10 million square feet. It's just such a complicated thing. You have a person opening up a restaurant, they're going to tell you the struggles, how hard it is to open a restaurant and get that business straight. They opened up 20 out of 30 restaurants in one day. You're opening up pools, convention space. And this goes for every casino that's opened up and down the strip. Even the big boys, the big companies in Vegas that have been doing it for years. It is incredible to get a property of that size opened, um, and what it takes to do that. And I remember a nightclub opened, their first liquor bill to fill the place with liquor was a $10 million liquor bill. You talk about a hotel with 4,000 rooms. That could be upwards of 6,000 mattresses and 6,000 sets of sheets. And it's just really incredible. So, we always root for properties to do well here in Las Vegas, and we're rooting for that one and many more that have opened the past few years.
Certainly, certainly. Well, I'll get you out of here, and this has been really fun. I really appreciate you having you on. I'll get you out of here on this. In terms of, always there's always something going on, and there's always something next to come. So, is there anything that you can tell us about kind of upcoming project stuff you got in the works? And if not, then kind of what are some of the general things that are piquing your interest right now in the industry?
We're working on a few projects right now. We just opened up a couple that were quite exciting. One of them, your magazine focus on, was the Louisville Downtown Derby in Louisville, Kentucky. Beautiful project. So proud of that one. Different reasons completely, but opening up a casino in an urban core that was a little bit downtrodden the past few years. So to be able to build something so beautiful and filled with so much energy to help spark development in that city is really a great point that I'm real proud of. We took an existing bank building from the 50s and had redone it. So super proud of that. We did a great job opening up remodeling a casino down in Delaware for some good friends. The numbers they've had and how they've been able to turn that around at Delaware Park is just spectacular. And right now we're working with the Venetian on quite a few projects. The impact of the Sphere on the city and how beautiful it is and how spectacular it is has had a great impact on the Venetian. The new management team there has done unbelievable numbers there and really taken that property to another level. And we're real proud to be working with them as well. And just real excited about the future. There's always some good projects out there. There's always people trying to think about how they can do things a little different, a little better. And we just want to be part of that conversation. We want to help spark that conversation with the owners that we work with, the clients that we work with, and really getting them to think about how they could deliver the same thing everybody else is delivering, but a little bit better, both from a design point of view and a service and operations point of view. It's not always all about us.
Definitely. Well, as you mentioned, the Derby City project was prominently featured in our P3 cover story. If anybody's interested, please check that out. I believe it is live now. So that's the P3 issue. Beyond that, thank you so much, Paul, for joining me. Where, for people who may be interested in Westar or want more information or want to get in touch with you, how can they find you?
Google Westar Architects. You'll find us online. You'll find a lot of our work. You'll find some pretty pictures of me speaking and doing podcasts and being interviewed and everything else. My mother's super proud of me, so it's always nice. And my kids think I'm a big shot. I don't know why, but it's all good stuff.
Awesome, awesome. Well, like I said, Paul, this has been great. The biggest history of the gaming industry as it stands, like we said, has come through your guys' firm and been built by your guys' firm. So it was a pleasure, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you so much. It was a great honor. Take care of yourself.
Thank you for joining us for the GGB Gaming Supplier Showcase, our exclusive look at the best products and services produced by vendors for the gaming, iGaming, and sports betting industries. For more information about the GGB Supplier Showcase, contact Terry Brady at tbrady@ggbmagazine.com.